became
this Sober Vet.
Don't live, don't live, don't live.
Our mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with This Sober Vet, and we're on episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you believe it? We're on episode 5, and I'm joined by the world-renowned Dr. Teresa Thomas. How you doing, Dr. T?
I like that world-renowned. That's pretty cool. I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I like that.
Welcome
Speak
back.
that into existence.
And Happy New Year to you.
Yes, a good Happy New Year.
Did you stay up and watch the ball
Happy
drop?
New Year. No, I didn't.
No, me neither.
I tried, but I just wasn't able to do it this time around.
Yeah, I didn't even try. I was in bed at 9:30, which is per the norm. Usually I try to be in bed by 9, but we were up a little later that night. But yeah, to me, it's just another day. So do you have any resolutions or goals this year?
I just really want to hit some nice fitness goals this year. 50 is creeping up on me, so I just want to be able to still try to stay a little bit fit and look kind of decent too.
I hear that. So my goal is I don't have any resolutions. For the month of January, I'm quitting sugar because I've been eating way too much sugar. But my goal for the year is by the end of 2025, I want 10,000 downloads of This Sober Vet.
I love it.
That is my goal.
I love it.
Because a really cool kind of side hustle to what we do is, or something that we could influence is, as you know, the national average for veteran suicide is 22 per day. An alarming amount of those 22 have some substance or something in their system when they're making this drastic decision. So if we could reach the masses, normalize sobriety with veterans, I'm hoping that eventually that number is affected in a good way by going down, because the more sober vets are, the hopefully less that suicide will be happening.
I like that, Joe.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, I think that's a very important byproduct of what we're doing. And then also, before we introduce today's guest, which I'm super excited about, did you know that I have an IMDb page? And do you even know what an IMDb page is?
Nope.
Okay, I got you.
Help me out. Learn me something new today.
IMDb is Internet Movie Database page, and it's made for anyone who's been like on a TV show, in a movie. It's something where you could kind of go and see their bio. And the reason I got on was through J-Dog and through the videos we did. We made it to a Hollywood producer's desk somehow. His name is Jim Milio. When we were younger, he produced the 911 show that would reenact like 911 phone calls. That show used to freak me out. Then he did Jacques Cousteau, the Deep Sea Adventures, and most recently he did The Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan. So when he kind of saw what we were doing and our mission with J-Dog and how we get back to the veteran community, he reached out to headquarters and just said, hey, I think we might have a show here. So headquarters reached out to me and they're like, hey, would you be interested on a TV show? And I was like, yeah, sure, thinking it would never happen. So they came out, we filmed a sizzle, which is kind of like a preview of what the show is. They shopped it to a bunch of networks. And believe it or not, we ended up getting on the Discovery Channel and the American Hero Network.
Get out. That is awesome.
Yeah. So they filmed one whole season. There are 10 episodes, and my crew was on 9 of them, which is unreal. And you could actually go and watch it now for free. It's on an app called Tubi, Tubi. It's a streaming service, like Netflix or something. And all you need is an email to get on there. So if you go to Tubi and if you search Operation Hidden Treasures, you'll see me.
Okay.
You'll see me 50 pounds heavier because that's when I used to drink. But it's still a great show. It was an awesome show, good experience. And I have 2 big takeaways. Number one is I met some amazing people who had amazing stories, to the point where the producer used to get mad because I'd be talking to the film crew, the sound guy, just to hear like their tales in Hollywood. He's like, Joe, we're shooting a TV show here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. And then number 2 is when it aired on the Discovery Channel, it was Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. So before church, my family and I would sit down and watch that on TV.
Yeah.
And that is something my kids will remember forever. So that was huge.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
was
is
very
great.
cool. Nice. So I say that to say this. We're actually going to jump into our first influencer on the show. He is a Army vet, born in Massachusetts, grew up in Florida, joined the Army, served with the 82nd Airborne Division. Uh,
Cool.
Bunch of other cool stuff that I don't want to get into. I want him to be able to tell his story, but I'm very excited about this. So I would like to welcome Michael DeGrave. How you doing, Mike?
How's it
Mike,
going?
welcome.
Great to be here.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. So I met Mike on Instagram, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it would most active is on Instagram. So yeah, definitely probably there.
Yes, and I love your videos. I love seeing your journey. It's just very fun to watch. And one day I was scrolling through and I noticed that you were a sober vet, and that just clicked. So I reached out, and I just want to say again, thank you so much for being on the show. This is big for us because we're just starting up,
Yeah.
and the bigger reach we could get, like I said, the more we could normalize sobriety with veterans, which is huge.
No, I appreciate it, and the community needs it. So the better, the bigger the microphone, But I always say that, if you can help one person, that all of it's worth it. So if we can
Absolutely.
reach just that one person,
Yes. Yes.
it's
Absolutely. I
worth
agree
it.
100%. So, Mike, if you don't mind starting by telling us what branch and why you joined that branch and what you did.
So I joined the army. I kind of knew I wanted to do that early on, and as I went into high school, I met our colonel, who was the JROTC instructor. If you don't know what that is, it's Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. So it's like a military program in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I met him, knew immediately I wanted to do that, and he was an airborne special forces guy, and so we had him and a sergeant major in that program. So that's kind of where what kick started my military kind of outlook and career, I would say, because from freshman year all the way to senior, I lived and breathed the military. So that was what I did. It kept me out of trouble for the most part.
For the most part.
So
Mm.
Nice.
Hmm.
So, when you finally did go in, then were you E4, or because of all that experience, did that kind of help you?
yep. So drill and ceremony. I mean, we got a lot of experience military wise through that program, but I went into actually I think it was an E3.
Okay.
I went in as an E3 and then later on got promoted to E4.
Nice.
What was your first duty station?
Uh, did basic at Fort Benning and then I was stationed at Fort Bragg for
Yeah, that
I
was my
did three
first duty
years
station.
active duty. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Fort Bragg, first duty station,
Oh
or
yeah.
Fort Liberty now, I think.
Yeah, that's where it all began and
Okay.
ended really.
And what year was this when you joined?
03 to 06.
Oh, cool. Okay. Gotcha. So, did you deploy then?
Yeah, I deployed twice.
Okay. Anything you want to speak on about that? Your experiences? Any stories that stick out?
Uh, I guess that's you look back and that's sort of maybe you didn't know it at the time, but that's sort of uh, where your life started and began and kind of made you who you are today.
Hmm.
Uh, I remember there's a bunch of stories, but I got actually transferred to a headquarters unit. So if you're familiar, the Army has infantry, headquarters, everything in the world. So I went from basic training right into a headquarters unit, which was a mistake. And you get to your duty station, infantry wise, you're expecting, the smoking and the getting yelled at and the screaming and
Hmm.
doing all the new guy stuff. And so I got to this place and it was, guys hanging out in an office and like a 9 to 5 schedule. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
this is not right, but it's kind of cool. And was sitting at the desk one day and I think it was like the commander walked by and said, looked at me and goes, "Who the heck are you?" And I told him. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I just came from, I just left airborne school. I went from airborne school right there." And he's like, and this is right around Christmas time. And he goes, "Well, I don't know what you're doing here, but when you get back from Christmas leave, you're going to go to the line unit. So I hope your
Hmm.
stuff's packed and you're ready
Ready
to
to go.
go."
Oh, snap.
So it's kind of upsetting at the time because I did enjoy that part. And then, yeah, that was kind of a shocker there.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
So you joined the line battery with new folks and deployed with a whole new team.
Yeah. So I kind of got there late, and the unit had already deployed. So my movement from that headquarters unit went right to meeting the sergeant major of our battalion
Okay.
and going up to his office, which you obviously don't ever
No,
want to
right.
do. But I went and met him, and he asked, if I am I planning on getting married anytime soon. It was no. Do I have kids on the way? No. And he's like, well, I hope all your stuff's packed because in 3 days you're going to Iraq. And so that was really quick. So
Yeah.
I wasn't really
Hmm.
ready for that either.
Wow. So
So
he deemed you dispensable. He was like, all right, you could go. You're good. No one's gonna miss you.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Jeez.
we're gonna send you over, and before I knew it, I was on a plane and I was in Iraq.
C-130 rolling down the strip, right?
Well, the first deployment, that first one, I got to flew with all the command staff who uh,
Um,
went through, went up later. So I was on a really nice plane, and
Nice
uh,
civilian.
that,
Nice.
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
that was
Okay.
more the cake deployment. That was a lot of gate guard and stuff like
Okay.
that. So nothing too eventful on that. It was my second one where I think I
Hmm.
earned my stripes, as they say. So,
Gotcha.
but
Right.
yeah, that's my early military career.
Nice. And your second
Okay.
deployment was that back to Iraq or where'd you go?
Yep, back to Iraq. From what I remember, it was sort of a because I think we were supposed to go to Katrina. Was it was right around that time, I believe.
Mm.
I have to
Okay.
forewarn you guys, my brain does not
That's
work
okay.
as well as it used to. So if anyone listens to this and like that's wrong and blah blah blah, I'm like, what? I don't have Google up right now, but I believe it was right around that time. And some of our unit went to Kuwait or Katrina, and then some
Hmm.
of us deployed for like a special. Because with 82nd, you can deploy anywhere in the world in so many hours. So
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that's what we did, and then we had specific missions over there, and got to work with some cool people. And it was a shorter deployment, not like a year or more, like most uh, units, but it was
Hmm.
pretty eventful.
Okay.
Pretty eventful. Pretty eventful. Did it
Yeah.
impact you when you came back and in any
Uh,
way?
well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Initially, it probably didn't. You
Hmm.
don't realize it because shortly after I got out, uh, a lot was decided by that. Just some of the antics that happened over there, and I wanted to get promoted, but it was right around my reenlistment time. So the deal was you can reenlist and we'll promote.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
Right.
no, you can promote and I'll reenlist. And it just didn't work that way. So
Yep.
I
Gotcha.
got out of there real quick. Kind of,
Hmm.
you look back now and I'm like, I should have stuck it out maybe, but everything happens for a reason. So yeah, a lot. I mean, it was eventful. Firefights, a couple firefights, and long nights and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I didn't never drank. I think I drank once in high school, and I regretted it. I was hungover. I think I went to when I went to MEPS and shipped out for basic.
Mm-hmm.
Because we celebrated, me going to the army and going in. So that was the only time I'd ever drank. Was in high school. So once, and so going into
Okay.
the army, you learn the bad habits, smoking and drinking. The
And
82nd was
cussing.
called the most in shape alcoholics in the world by Time magazine, and
They
I
beat
lived every
they
bit of
beat
it.
ADA. They beat
Apparently, they
ADA.
beat the
Yeah.
Alcoholics Defending America. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So yeah, I lived that life.
So alcohol was your drug of choice when you did have an addiction.
Yep. Alcohol from the very beginning. First deployment, no, but when I got back with the guys, that was, what we did. We did it every weekend, so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes during
Absolutely.
the week. But that's what we did. We trained hard and we played
Played
hard.
harder.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
we trained hard and drank harder like that.
yeah.
Yep.
And then you didn't know you had a real problem because everyone had the same issue, and we all took care of each other. So
Right.
Right.
if you're out at a bar and you're getting in trouble, your buddies are there to either jump in or drag you out. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really realize I had a problem until I got out and saw that normal people don't really act that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What was it when you got out that you noticed and said, "Okay, wait a minute." Uh,
um, well, looking back, I had a girlfriend back then, and we would go out, and I would just get blacked out, drunk, and bar fights, and
mhm,
arguing and upset, and some of the military stuff would come back, so PTSD and
mhm.
anxiety, and I would binge drink, so I would never really drink during the week because
Right.
I had to work. So I would look forward to those Fridays and Friday, Saturdays, and if depending on what would happen, I'd be out for a week because I would drink so much. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's where it really began. Is I could tell that I wasn't interacting the same as
Mhm.
I don't know if you say average people or normal people or what, but they didn't act the way that I did. But I
Gotcha.
blame them. I blame those people. Not I didn't take any of the blame. So
Mhm.
Right. Yep.
that took a long, long time to kind of figure out.
Yeah, I could totally
Okay.
relate. When I first got home, I lived with my parents for like a month until I found an apartment. And the first weekend I spent at home where I didn't actually go out and I just drank at the house, my stepmom was like, how many beers is that? Like I would get a 12 pack and just polish them off myself, and I wasn't even doing anything. I was
Yeah,
just sitting at home, and like she was
yeah,
like, "Whoa, that's like way too much," and I'm like. I'm just getting a buzz. Like, what are you talking about? This is too much. Like, I'm just starting to feel this
Mm.
stuff. And that's when, because
yeah,
like you said, when you're in it with your boys and you're drinking and playing beer pong and card games and at the bar, whatever, you're all drinking together. Like, it's the
Right.
norm. But when you get home around civilians and they're like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, that
yeah.
J Dog is your local veteran owned and operated junk removal company. We do everything from a single item pickup to a full estate cleanout. We also do small demo, sheds, playgrounds, jacuzzis. Our pricing is based on volume. Estimates are always free. We also do our best to keep items out of the landfill. We have a warehouse in Willow Street where we take repurposed items. There we are able to donate to veterans in need, and the last Saturday of the month, we open it up to the public garage sale style so everyone can enjoy these items. Put some local veterans to work. Call J-Dog today, 844-GET-JDOG or 484-467-1424. So did you have any like some people would call rock bottoms? I like to call it a aha moment. Would like at what point did you get and you're like, you know what, like that's it. I'm not dealing with this anymore. This is crazy.
It's a very long story, but I continued that. So I got out in 2006 and joined the National Guard. So I was still serving, but I would use the National Guard as I got married around that time too. So I would use the National Guard as like a escape or a getaway,
Mhm.
and would do that same drinking and stuff throughout those years. So that was 5 years. I would go there, and we didn't have a lot of money, and I would waste it all on that. And so we were at 2006, 2011. I got out, still drink.
Mhm.
Um, Something clicked a little bit, and I always talked about going into the police academy and doing that. And my wife finally kicked me and said, "You need to go and try." So I did, and through this time, I'm still drinking and stuff. Not so much through the academy because it was so difficult, but uh, got through the academy. So I went out and celebrated the graduation of the academy with a academy member, and we were drinking, and I got into some trouble that night. Uh, Almost got arrested a couple
Mm.
times. I hurt him. So it was a bad night,
Uh-oh.
but that's not the worst part. I kept going after that and sort of gave up a little bit. I dealt with a couple mental health issues too.
Okay.
Um,
From
so
deployment? From deployment, Michael?
yeah, whenever I would drink, I would go to this other person,
Yep.
and the deployment was a huge part.
Yeah.
I would be the guy at the bar blaming everyone and telling them they owe me a drink. And,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I've been here, I'd carry a coin around and,
Mhm.
just bully people and just do I've done some of the worst imaginable things, drunk that I can remember. God knows what I can't remember, which is even scarier.
Mhm. Mhm.
What hit me and what got me to change is, well, first, my family had had enough, and it was basically, you need to stop or we're gonna leave. And that was, like the wake up call. And then what really changed my life was I saw a YouTube video by Tim Kennedy.
Mhm.
uh, he was getting interviewed at SHOT Show. It was a very simple video, and he was talking about veterans, and his kind of view on PTSD is different from others. And he basically told the veteran community to get off the couch and change and fix yourself. And you guys are warriors. You've been through some of the worst stuff. And the guy asked him, well, is it really easy? Is it that easy, to do? And he's like, it is that easy. You just do it. You get off the couch and do something. And I
Mhm.
don't know what it was about that video, but the next day I chose to quit drinking, started this whole kind of fitness change.
Wow.
And so it's been 8 years since that.
That is outstanding. So one
That
video,
that
yeah, and
is.
you just went cold turkey.
Yeah, I have never touched a drink since that
Beautiful.
day.
Since
Yeah.
then.
Awesome.
Wow. Joe, that sounds like you.
It is, yeah, true. It is absolutely. But I didn't have that. I was kind of forced to because my wife gave me an ultimatum, and I didn't want to lose my family, so that was my sign to quit. Now, in the beginning, Mike, did you? I had a lot of issues because I almost felt like I was unplugged from the matrix when I first quit drinking, and like I was in this whole new world. What did you do in the beginning for help? Did you seek guidance? Did you go to meetings? Did you even need to?
Uh, so we had tried marriage counseling and counseling before I ever decided to do that, and I just I wasn't ready. So
Mhm.
what I thought was attacking me. Hey, it's you. It's the drinking. It's this and that. I took it as a threat. So that didn't
Mhm.
work initially. When I made the decision to quit drinking, I that was it. I did it my way. I did it by myself. I use social media a lot, so I would look to people like Kennedy and Jocko and some of these people who really lead in that veteran community. And that's really what helped me. Is just I had to change my mindset. And then at the beginning, I didn't know this was like a term, or maybe it became later, but I would win the day. So
Hmm.
if I could just get through
Mhm.
today and do the same thing tomorrow, now we're at Friday and I have to get through the weekend because that's my drinking
Right.
time.
Mhm.
So once I would get through Friday, Saturday, I'm like, all right, now I just got to do it again. And it literally was it. And still say now every day is day one, because um, you don't know what tomorrow's going to be. So and that's what I tell people when they ask how did I do it. You got to get through that one day. You get through the
Mhm.
next day and the next day. And so usually it's a huge, like, overtaking. Quitting drinking seems like this big life changing
Mhm.
thing. But if you just focus on that one day, it's not as hard.
Absolutely. That's great advice.
Good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, also in the beginning, one thing I noticed was I had to sit with my feelings now, where before I would drink to mask them. Did you have any issues like with getting angry quick or like getting super emotional, or because my emotions across the board, every emotion was crazy daily, and like I almost had to learn how to control them all over again. Did you have any issues with that?
You'd probably have to ask my wife, but I would assume I did. But I have that addictive personality, so I
Uh-huh.
went from that and I dove into fitness. And
Mhm.
um, I think that euphoric kind of change, because I was very overweight. Um, I was like 230 pounds of, if you were to see old pictures, I look 60 years old. I don't look, I don't look the same. So
Hmm.
I went
Mhm.
into that fitness world, and I don't know. I think that's what kept me straight. And I'm sure the anxiety was there, and,
Right.
you know, especially, well, I made the decision I do not go out. You know, I will not put myself at a bar or at a function or around
Mhm.
anybody who did it. And so I became very selfish about it, and
Mm.
I still am to this day. But at the beginning, it was cutting everybody out, cutting all that out, no drinking.
Mhm.
So that was maybe a hard decision to do, but I found it easy because it was what I was deciding to do, and it was at that time my way or the highway.
Your way
The
or the highway.
highway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was selfish, but it's what I had to do.
what you have to do.
Nice.
And with the VA, did you connect with the VA in regards to getting help with PTSD or behavioral health issues with that last deployment?
So that's a whole nother story. The VA, we went to the VA, but I didn't discover the VA until many years after. I think I
Okay.
don't know exactly how many years, but it
Okay.
was it was years after. So I hadn't got any treatment, up
Mhm.
until, but I did discover the VA and started, I got service connected and things like that.
Okay.
And funny enough, I actually am a police officer for the Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
So it's like a big, and I work at the same place that I had gotten treatment at
Treatment. Mhm.
Nice.
many years ago. So we did some counseling and PTSD stuff, but and this is just me personally, not
Right.
saying it doesn't work for other people, but I
Mhm.
didn't really need it. I I did like you just kind of like self analyze what's happening. So I'll think about, all right, I'm starting to get that taste in my mouth and that kind of
Mhm.
urge to, so I'll go run or I'll go, do something that takes my mind off of it. But the
Mhm.
VA's changed a lot too. The
Right.
VA now is 180 degrees different.
Right.
Right.
It's way better because the program that I was in just wasn't the same as it is now. There's, you know, they have PTSD, they have, sexual trauma, they have
Mhm.
alcohol, you name it. It's amazing to see. So uh,
Yeah,
I
they
now
definitely
refer
have
people here.
evolved. Good,
Yeah.
yeah, they have evolved. And it sounds like you in therapy, we call it behavioral activation, where I like to tell some of my clients when they're depressed or going through different things, is it's behavioral activation, and it's like Nike, you just do it. You have
Hmm.
to just do it, which means just getting up and doing it. And it just sounds like somewhere in there you were able to just do that yourself.
Yeah, I just, like I said, social media gets a lot of, negative light, nowadays, I guess, but that's really what if you can go to the very beginning of my Instagram page and you
Mhm.
can kind of see, where I started building up, and I would record everything, but it was back then it was like a flip phone camera or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And but I would document it, and I would say like David Goggins has an accountability mirror that he uses, not a literal mirror, but I guess that's his thing. But for
Mhm.
me, it was social media, and I would be able to look at the pictures and the video and the stuff that I was doing and say I could
Mhm.
never do that hungover, or I could never do that sober, or not sober, but intoxicated. So
Mhm.
um, the Instagram and now social media is like my accountability mirror, and even something as simple as putting sober vet on your page, it's like, hey, I'm sober, and then you got to
Yeah.
live up to that, and you have
Yeah.
to do the right thing. So, but it took a while for me to even come out and say that I was an alcoholic. And
Mhm.
I don't know if that's necessary to start the journey because I never would admit, even when I was 5 years or 4 years sober, that I was an alcoholic.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a weird. Everyone's different, so I don't know what might work for somebody else is different from what will work for me. So uh, a lot of people don't like to hear that what you just said. Just do it. Like, well, what if I can't just do it? Well, you can just
Mhm.
do it. So
Yeah.
it's
There's
back and
there's
forth on
steps.
getting.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
steps to it where it's where you just have to get up, and sometimes getting up is the hardest part, but once you
Yeah.
get up and start something, then it becomes a little bit easier.
Yep.
It's the getting up. It's not easy. It may not be easy, but just do it like Nike. Just
Yeah,
get up.
Yeah.
That's the
They're
exactly.
start.
listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're watching. And Mike, I'm so glad you put SoberVet on your IG because again, that's part of the reason why I reached out, and that really is a badge of honor. One thing that I've never understood, especially since I've been sober, whenever I'm out and about, and if someone offers me a drink and I go, "No, I don't drink." First question is why, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, dude, that's none of your business. Like, I don't ask you why you're drinking. And then the second thing is like when I tell people I'm sober, like, because I'm a little over 2.5 years, so I say that just to kind of hopefully ignite something. Everyone goes, "Oh, well, I could never stop," or "I only drink on weekends," or "I," like they always feel the need to explain why they drink, and it's like, dude, your journey's your journey. I'm just letting you know on my journey of
Yeah.
2.5 years
Mhm.
sober, I never want to drink again. But if you could do it and you don't have issues, hey, more power to you. But it's just, it's so weird that there's always the either why aren't you drinking or they feel the need to explain to you why they drink or how little they drink or
Yeah.
something. And that's always kind of blown my mind. Do you get that a lot?
Like there's something wrong with you, yeah, that you don't drink.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Uh, I always start like I travel a lot with work, and I go all over the place and do classes, and um, I, especially meeting new people, I just lead with it. I don't drink, so I'm
Nice.
not gonna go with you. I'm not gonna. I actually, I'll DD my wife if she wants to have some drinks and stuff, but I won't even really do that unless it's a very exigent circumstance, someone needs help. But I don't even offer that because being around people who are drunk really bothers me, and
Yes.
it's ironic
Mm.
because
That guy,
I
right?
can't even
Yeah.
fathom what I put people through, which I do know,
Mm-hmm.
because they've told me in the past. But um, selfishly, I just stay out of it, and my wife knows, or even the guys I work with know that if we're out, and I do go out to bars and stuff now, and it's no issue. But if it gets to the point where I'm starting to get aggravated or
Mhm.
uncomfortable, I say it's go time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another piece of advice for anyone who's trying to stop is just have an out. Don't ever put
Yes.
yourself somewhere where you can't get out of there. So
True.
Right.
everyone says, well, you could just Uber, but
Mm,
sometimes it doesn't work that way. So
right.
you need to have your own instant way out, to where there's nothing stopping you, because you could be waiting for that Uber, and that Uber is late. Now you're even more frustrated, and you're like, I'll just have one.
Mm,
Mhm.
So that really helped me a lot.
So it's
nice.
kinda like have your own safety plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like in the military, you create a safety plan.
Yep.
Create a whole plan for that night. If you're gonna be going to a bar, like where's the bar? Who's
Mhm.
gonna be there? What do you talk to whoever you're gonna be with and say, you know, I'm not gonna be. Everyone knows now for me, so they don't. I'm not the black sheep anymore. But
Mhm.
if it's new people, I do bring it up and just be open about it.
Yeah.
Very
It's
good.
interesting. So you were talking about social media and their influence on you, and when you said that, something clicked on me that I haven't thought about before you bringing that up. So back in early in my sobriety, I remember I was just watching something about Jack Harlow, the rapper. I saw some
Yeah,
interview with him when he was like 18 or 19, and the guy was like, "Wait, so you don't drink at all?" And Jack's like, "No, not at all." And he's like, "But you're so young, like, don't you like to party?" And he's like, "Well, I know where I want to be in 5 years, and alcohol won't help me get there." And I was kind of like,
Mhm.
yeah,
"Damn, if this
Mm.
19-year-old can like just have that mind frame, like, why can't I?" So that was like, and
Right.
on days where I would struggle, because I'm grown, I quit 2.5 years ago. I'm 40, actually, I'll be 43 next Tuesday. Um, I would
Okay.
reference this teenager and be like, dude, if this kid at 19 could be smart enough to see where he wants to be, and in these last 2.5 years, dude, I've been so productive that it almost makes me
yeah,
mad that I drank for so long because if I quit at 19, shoot, imagine where I'd be today, like, yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's, I think, like you can get in trouble when you drink. You can uh, do some really bad things, but the thing that I feel like I live with, that's the worst for me at least, is regret. Like you
Yeah.
just said, if I'd have started jujitsu, when I got out of the army, I would be a black belt, like literally a black belt,
Mm-hmm.
probably at this point. Or if I
Mhm.
would have started fitness, who knows what I could have been doing or anything. So regret is one of those kind of, I don't know. I think that's just something you earn, I guess. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it, but I think about that a lot. Like, you know, what if? And that is it's like torture almost sometimes.
Yeah,
But
and you can get down that rabbit hole. But on the flip side of
Yeah.
that, you'll hear some people will say, I'm a grateful alcoholic because by going through that, it got me to this point where now I am hyper focused on my health and hyper focused on me.
oh yeah,
And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be here. And I must say, dude, I saw the video you posted today about jujitsu and how other police departments should be training that and the hand to hand stuff. And dude, you look jacked. So you're totally getting there fitness wise. Like you can
uh,
see all the veins on your arm. Like you're jacked, dude. That's good
it's the
stuff.
filters. It's the filters.
Are you or do you know a veteran who is struggling with substance abuse that could use some motivation? Have them tune in. Look, they won't change until they're ready to, but if we could cause a crack in the dam, it doesn't hurt to listen. If you are a sober veteran that would like to share your story in hopes to inspire others, please contact us at thissobervet.com. Show notes and more info could be found at thissobervet.com, and be sure to check us out on social media. We'd love to connect with you.
What would you say is the hardest part of sobriety for you
Now,
now?
I don't think it's difficult at all anymore.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I don't miss it. I don't really crave it anymore. I can still taste Bud Light, which is so weird. That was my drink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think about it anymore too much until the holidays are tough because
Mhm.
that's what the general population does, and New Year's is tough. But I
Right.
it's not in my life anymore, so it's not too difficult. Uh, but then you got to learn, like you said earlier, you got to learn to deal with the things that you used to deal with through alcohol. You have to learn to deal with them sober. So
Mhm.
you really got to figure out what that is for you and focus on it. So that I think that's the key is figuring that out, what works for you. And some people write or paint or ruck,
Yes.
and
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with any of that. So yeah, figuring that out.
Absolutely. I agree. Doing something you enjoy, plus also doing something that you may need to do, a responsibility that you need to take care of. Again, that behavioral activation, doing things that you enjoy, and then also doing some things that need to be taken care of as well. Keeps you balanced.
Yep.
Yes.
And doing things you don't enjoy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And positivity just breeds positivity. I feel like when you're sober,
Yeah.
like I wake up with a little extra pep in my step in the morning because I'm not hungover. I know that I'm not going to eat a bunch of greasy foods to recover from this hangover, so I'm remaining healthy, and like that kind of just
Hmm.
snowballs into a healthy lifestyle. And oh, how are you on sleep, Mike? Like when you first quit drinking, was your sleep better? Was it? Did you have night sweat? I had night sweats for a while.
uh well, like I said, I was overweight, so sleep apnea and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff played a factor. And uh, once I started losing weight, I definitely started sleeping better. Uh, my sleep, because I'm all over the place, we just bought a new bed, and that really helps.
Nice.
Um,
Good.
but it's weird that and the better, I mean, it's not weird. It's obviously the better fitness wise and mental wise, the better you're gonna sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
all
Hmm.
those years that I didn't sleep well, I can't imagine what that did to my body and brain. And
Right.
uh, I know it affected my memory, obviously. And um, but there's a lot that can help with that nowadays. Therapy and physical therapy or yoga or all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff can something I like to put out to veterans. It's sort of, I don't know if it's a stigma or looked down upon, but it shouldn't be, is testosterone. I can speak and will speak freely about that, especially being an alcoholic and the weight that I got to and how bad I treated my body. It destroyed my hormones.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
for anyone out there, I really encourage them to find a good clinic, someone they can trust, There's a lot of organizations that will help veterans, especially to get that kind of stuff looked at too, because your hormones could be in the dump, and that will affect your mental health. It'll
Absolutely.
affect your physical health,
Hmm.
and even just being off with like vitamin D could change your entire life. So
Mhm.
something that doesn't get talked about, I don't think enough, is really, and especially suicide.
Yeah.
It really can help your mental health if your hormones are right. So just something else to.
That's such a good point. Like that's something I personally have never thought of. So you recommend like, is there a testosterone test? Like, do you go to your doctor and get tested for your levels, or like what's step one in figuring out if you need that?
So there's a very wide range of what normal is. It can go. It's based on like a certain number. Your well, a couple numbers, but um, like the VA can help with it depending on how low it is and stuff like that. But there's what's called TRT clinics, and it's testosterone replacement therapy, and they'll check them and figure out where your numbers should be at. So, uh, yeah, it's a doctor prescribed deal. It's nothing like Arnold Schwarzenegger illegal stuff. It's all. It's starting to come into the veteran community because there is a lot of veterans. The bigger name guys who are really, some of them are even starting their own clinics.
Wow.
Mhm.
So it's something that I don't think is talked about nearly enough because of the steroid stigma and that kind of stuff. But it's not like that. It's not, it's not like that. That's what I want to say is that, it's you really important to have your hormones good, and
Yeah.
it could literally change your life, and probably will. Being 40, I just turned 40, um, but I feel
Congrats.
20. Yeah, thanks.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, it's a lot of work and that, but the hormone thing was never talked about. I don't ever remember it even being brought up at any point, VA or not,
Wow.
Yeah.
until pretty recently. The last couple of years, it's kind of come into the world, and um, I think with our new administration coming in, they're focused on health a little bit more, and I think that could be brought into the world a little bit. But yeah, if I could give anyone any advice, it's find a new community to join up with, get away from the negative, like you said, the drinking and all that, and get your hormones checked too,
Mhm.
and find something you love to do and do it.
Absolutely. What
Absolutely.
about your support system? What does your support system look like?
I get yelled at if I'm being a butthead, and I get yelled at a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. My family, and Uh, I put them through hell, and I still do. Different
Mhm.
kind, but um, yeah, they stuck by me through everything. So they know when I start getting a little antsy or
Mhm.
aggravated, and they'll either poke me a little bit for fun and whatever, and then in good fun. And that's the other thing. You're right. A support system, like I said, social media was huge again for me with that, because I would just either pull a video up or message somebody that I met who is where I want to be, and say,
Mhm.
"How did you get through this?" And they'll give me their advice, and you kind of go from there. A lot of times, people don't want to hear uh, the truth, so sometimes hearing it stinks a little bit, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
you just gotta stay on them, and you that 22 number of suicides, especially working at the VA. Since
Mhm.
I've been at the VA, I've lost two officers to suicide who are veterans.
Oh, sorry to hear
um,
that. Jeez.
many
Mhm.
other
Yeah.
outside of that, but we hear suicides all the time, and it's just, it is such a, I don't want to say a waste, but it's just, it aggravates me because there's so many options. If you want to hurt yourself, come with me to jujitsu,
Right. Yeah.
and we
Exactly.
will we will hurt
Yeah.
each other, and then
Yep.
and
Mhm.
hug after and go home, and we'll do it again the next week or the
Hmm.
next day.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
just so many. Or go on a 20-mile ruck march with a 40
Right.
pound bag. That
Right. That
that will
hurts.
hurt,
That will definitely hurt you. Yeah. Yeah.
but
That will
you'll be
hurt.
here to do it again,
Exactly.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
It's so
Yeah.
that
unnecessary. Definitely.
That is, yeah, that's frustrating, and so that's yeah, we battle with that. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
is why we're all here, is I think to make that not a number anymore. So
Absolutely. Right.
Mhm.
So, if there was one thing that you could suggest to anyone out there who's still drinking, knows they want to quit, but they are actively drinking and they're looking to people like us for motivation to see, all right, well, this guy's done it. Like, why should I stop right now? What would you say to that guy
Or gal.
or gal? Yes,
or
sorry.
gal, yeah,
Anyone. Yes.
both. I would probably echo, like what Kennedy says and what a lot of those guys say, and um, if you're saying to yourself, "I need to stop," then now you have a problem. You've admitted it to yourself. So the biggest piece of advice that when people ask me, "Well, what should I do?" knowing that I want to quit, is I say, "Do you have kids?" If they have kids, yeah, I do. I have a daughter or son. Well, bring them in the room and sit them down and tell them, I'm gonna quit drinking, and tell them that. Make it
Mhm.
vocal. I wish I would have did that, more at the beginning, but um, once I told people that, and I didn't want to let them down. So putting it on, social media is big, because a lot of people see that. But telling your mom or your dad or your kids, "Hey, I want to quit. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna start today, or I'm gonna go get help. I'm gonna go get therapy or whatever." Putting it out there. Don't do it secretly. I did it secretly. It worked for me. I did it by myself, and I say I did it by myself, but I didn't. I did it with people that I chose to learn from, and that kind of stuff. So it really wasn't on my own. I didn't do it by myself. I had my family, and I told them I was going to stop, and they held me to it and still do to this day. Because there's been times where I just want to sip. Let me sip it, and they're like,
Mhm.
"No,"
No.
and you're not ever going to do it. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice is find someone you care about and tell them that that's what you want to do. And if you care about them enough, you won't want to let them down. So if anyone's on that fence about what should I do, just stop.
Just stop.
And if
Love
you
it.
need help, reach out, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we're
We're
all
all.
available. Absolutely.
My name's Michael DeGrave, and that's how I became this sober vet.